Hello, everyone, and welcome to a series I'm calling Hala-Days. This will be a series over the next 9 weeks as I prepare this hero right here, uh, Hala, for a calling in Kansas City. I'm about 2 months away from this event, and I'm going to take this character. The point of these videos is going to be two-pronged. My first and foremost point of this series is to track my progress in preparation for a large event, such as a calling, specifically the Kansas City calling, and also to satiate my, vanity and desire to make content. My other more like ristic study style videos have proven that they're going to take a while to produce. So I'm just kind of to want to make things in general. And I am hoping that this can prove something to be useful, not only to myself, mainly to myself, if I'm being honest. This is a very selfish endeavor, but to other people maybe wanting to get into the hero, that this could serve kind of as a baseline for them. So, firstly, I'd like to ask kind of what I'd like to accomplish with something like this being a series. Kind of the what and why of why I'm doing this. Apart from liking making videos, I want to give myself the best shot. Sorry, my cat just attacked me. Get out of here. So, apart from making videos, I want to give myself the best shot at doing well at this event. I think this could serve as a video log of my attempts at doing well and kind of my preparation strategy, and comparing that to the end result, whether I, scrub out at X3 or make day 2 or make top 8 or win the whole thing, in an ideal world. I just kind of want to do what I can to make sure that I stick to kind of a practice regimen, and I think making sort of a video log will help me do that. I think with the more established heroes, there are a lot of resources. Let's take Gravy, for example. There's an excellent guide, Metafy guide for that character, written by two of the best players, Justin Koo, I believe, and Jacob Clements. For that character, and I think there's a lot of information about that character, but I don't think there's a lot of information for Hala. So my attempt over these next, if I do make 9 videos, my attempt over the next 9 videos will be to kind of begin this collected knowledge and sort of card canon, as it were, for Hala, and hope that this could serve as kind of like a journey through going from the character released at this point a month or 2 ago to throughout this process Mastery Pack Warrior is being released, and that ultimately I'll be participating with her at a calling to see how can she do in a tournament with my ability. But perhaps other people will play her and we could do a post recap of all the Halas that were there. Maybe I could talk to Halas while I'm at the event and kind of see how that goes. So yeah, and additionally, my hope is that I can take suggestions from people, for example, that I don't think there is anything such as a bad idea at this point in the time of, kind of building a character. Going back to Gravy, a lot of people will say, well, you have to have blank, blank, and blank to make it a good hero. And, to some extent, we know for a fact that X amount of cards are going to stay in the deck no matter what happens. And that it would take a kind of a fundamental change to the hero to change the cards that you would put in him. For Hala, I think we're at a point where, the character is so new, we're getting new resources for it, that I'm open to anyone suggesting anything. For example, if it's like, yeah, we should play Rowdy Locals as a blue card. I'm like, nah, maybe before I would say, no, I don't want to do that. But in this series, I'm hoping that I can test anything anyone suggests, and that is in good faith anyway, and hope that we can kind of build a group effort to making this character and I guess myself do well at this event. Lastly, I just like making videos, I guess. I want to engage in video making, and if nobody watches these, I'm gonna post them anyway. Again, kind of as a video log of my training arc, as it were, I guess. And I just want to say before we begin that, you know, everything I'm making is going to be completely free. I'm not planning on ever writing sort of a metafied guide. Like, say, in a perfect world, I won the calling. You know, all of this stuff in my deck list and everything would be all community driven, and that we would all have access to it. And that, you know, you don't make a lot of money off of content for this game anyway. So I just want to get better kind of at the video making process and engage in that. And so that's kind of what I'm here to do. With that being said, why Hala? I'm going to be speaking through the lens specifically of why Hala for myself personally, just in general with the character, and then later specifically through the lens of why Hala for calling Kansas City. But first, I'll just kind of talk about the generalizations of the hero. Essentially, it boils down to I like the stock. Not to go sort of into a, you know, philosophical rambling, but essentially I was kind of, for a long time when I was playing, it's a competitive card game, and I was trying to, I guess, meta chase, as it were. A couple of months ago, I kind of came to the realization that I'm never going to be a worlds winning player. Not because I'm, you know, don't have the ability innately, but more so that I won't put in the time that other people will. And I kind of have too much of a life. That sounds bad. I kind of have too much like happening in my real life to kind of sink as many hours into this, and, you know, resources that I don't have into, let's say, you know, like going to Singapore, for example. I can't do that. So basically, I came to the point of, in my fab journey, that I was just going to play characters that I enjoyed. And first and foremost, I think Hala is an awesome character. The first hero I had a sharp inclination towards was Dorinthia, but I never loved Dory, I guess. Something about Hala is something that I love, and she has an awesome design. I like that she's Dory's teacher. You know, the first videos I ever watched about Flesh and Blood content, my brother kind of said, you know, just find a character you like. And I was like, I like Dory. And he was like, well, there's this guy, Josh Lau, who makes content for Dory. And he was the first content creator I watched playing the game. And I learned a lot about how to play the game off of Dorinthia, which I think a lot of people do. And so I kind of like that there's a tie there. She's Dorinthia's teacher. She's a warrior. I'm, you know, inclined to warrior. I'm not as big of a... over the past, I have not been as big of a warrior player as perhaps other people have been. I'm thinking one of my best, you know, RTN performances was on Fang. So I'm not a stranger to the class. And again, I played Dory at a few PQs and RTNs. I've never top 8'd with her, but I have with Fang. But I just like, I don't know. I just really like the vibe. I like the sword. I don't know. I just like everything about her. I like the art, not only on her hero card, which is by Fede Musetti, who also did Jarl, who I love. But, you know, in the deck, there are so many artists and cards that have awesome art that I love too. Tomasz Jędruszek and Bastian Jez. You know, those are just two of the artists that I really love, but that their art is in the deck, and I just love, you know, I kind of came to the realization that at the base level, when I play this game, I want to draw 4 cards and like looking at them. Even if I draw a card that's like, it's all blue, it's 3 Visit the Dawn Smiths and 1 Shuck, that I can look at the art and go, I really like these artists. I like the art that they've done. And I think with Hala, I really identify with all of the art in the deck, on the board, with the equipment, you know, her especially. And I just like everything about it. I've written here hero vibe plus strength. And we'll get into the strength in a bit. But the vibe of everything about this hero is something I love, and I think that, you know, even if this doesn't pan out to be an A tier character, if it pans out being a D tier character, I'm going to play her in Kansas City because I want to have fun. I want to enjoy the cards I'm playing with, and ultimately that's mainly what it's about for me at this point in my Fab career. Number 2 is kind of in the same vein. I like that you can turn the hero card sideways every turn if you want to. I like interacting with my hero. I was kind of a Fi devotee for 5 or 6 months, and it was a very similar situation in that I really loved activating the hero ability every turn. And his recent, you know, victories at U.S. Nationals maybe proved that maybe I should have focused more on him. But, you know, ultimately his cards didn't start. I don't know. Again, it's about kind of something deeper. And the cards that I was drawing, I wasn't having fun playing. And the cards I draw with Hala, I do have fun playing because I get to interact with her sword. I get to swing a sword every time, which is something that I really enjoy. I get to, which I mean, also you could do in Fi. And I don't know, I just really like that you can turn the character sideways every turn if you want to, if you have a blue. I like Gravy. I was playing Gravy a lot, but I'm bad at him, and I don't have a $500 Fable. So, number 3, I think she has a strong hero ability. It literally says +1 damage on the card, but the surrounding cards that you play can make it worth much more than that. So, with your sword, you know, starts in play, stays in play, can't be destroyed, and, you know, your hero isn't destroyed until you lose life. I like that literally just every game you have +1 if you have a blue card to do it. And I think this is extremely powerful because it ends up being more than +1 a lot of the turns. Most of the time, it's going to be +2. That if you're activating her hero, you're getting +2 a lot of the time. Or you're getting the ability to play something with your go again, which is, you know, can be more than worth 2. The +1 thing for me is very kind of something I'm drawn to. My biggest and best, I guess my best performance at a calling level event was playing Ira in New Zealand. And I cashed out, made day 2 after losing my first 2 rounds. And I think that's something I'm drawn to, you know, the very simple on her ability text says your second attack each turn gets +1. And I think that's kind of something I really vibe with, that I think this is extremely strong. And I think that, you know, the gatekeeping of it, I think there's a reason it costs 3 instead of 2, because if you could just do 1 card 4 every turn, you know, this would be Guardian level in-game strength. And so I think that, to me, that kind of reads as there's something powerful here, and I really like that. I do think she's strong. I think probably Kasai is the best warrior at this moment in time, especially with the cards that have been shown for the Mastery Pack at this moment. But I really, really enjoy Hala. And I do think she's strong enough to contend in a tournament setting. Will it be strong at a calling level? I'm not sure yet. So the second phase of this is going to be why specifically for Kansas City. I think that, if I'm being honest, I think her implied value is extremely high. And I'll speak about this topic in another video, breaking down kind of the 2 but possibly 3 versions of Hala that you can play at this moment in time. But for now, I will say I think she matches my preferred style of my opponent not knowing what I could have in my hand. I think that if you sit across from the average Hala, you are not going to know, are they more defensive? Are they going to be, because you can build her full face attack. But at the end of the day, all of your cards on Warrior block 3, or most of them do. And that all of the equipment for Warrior is extremely strong. So I think someone sitting down across from me while on the average match at the calling is going to say, you know, maybe hopefully they haven't watched these videos, but that if I say I sharpen a sword attack, swing for 4 with go again, that the card I'm holding in my hand could be, you know, let's say Beck and Steel. It could be a D-React that I'm going to Arsenal. It could be It could be CNC. It could be, I don't know, a non-attack action such as Visit the Dawnsmith that I'm like, oh, I have another card in my hand that's going to be great if I sharpen twice next turn. So that, I think a lot of these things are going to end up being extremely high value in the fact that I think people will be a little underprepared for Hala specifically. And I think that Warriors in general will do well at calling Kansas City. Now, again, even if I'm wrong, I'm going to play this character. So, but I do like that I believe this to be true. Specifically, timing is going to be extremely important for this event. Not that I think we will end up coming to a Bolander type of situation, but I think that Icelander is kind of an apt comparison for this event specifically. If you don't know, obviously the story goes that on Icelander's hero card, I'll try to pop it up on the screen, it specifically mentions blue non-attack actions and extra benefits with frostbites with ice. And I think at first my understanding is, because I started playing at around the tail end of Icelander, my understanding is that at first everyone was building her more wizardy, and then Michael Hamilton comes along and puts in Wounded Bull, I believe Faendal's Fighting Spirit, and some switch ups almost as if like, oh, I brought in AB, but now you're attacking at my face for 8. Now, I don't think that Hala necessarily will be swinging Wounded Bull or something of the equivalent, but I think that, again, if you come to an event with a character that is at least B tier and is also strong, you gain a lot of equity, and I think the timing on that is really strong. With Mastery Pack Warrior coming out, I think Ellie Bird just announced that in a month from today, you can see it says June up there, that she'll be announcing a Warrior card. And I think there will be a lot more spoilers. And I think people who aren't paying attention to Warrior as much, maybe they're focused on, how do I build my best version of Basilio for this event, I think they might be behind the curve. And I think that this character, with new cards coming out, will be able to respond to the meta more so than make the meta. And I think that shapes performances at events. I think she has a great end game, going back to that implied value I was talking about. And I think her blues are really, really strong. That the cards you pitch, such as Indefensibly Honed, which I'll pop up on the screen here, that when this comes back around to the times that you are at an end game, this becomes incredibly, incredibly strong. And I think that this is something we can discuss more on how to get to certain end states later, and that'll be more informational for me maybe than anybody, but that I think that her end game is really strong, and I think it'll be really good in the current meta, especially if Victor leaves. We can end up being much stronger, but again, we'll kind of talk about that at a later video. But I do think she has a good end game, and I think that's a great reason to play her. So with that being said, thank you so much. Especially if you watch this whole thing. I'm trying to keep it concise and trying to not waste anyone's time. But I'm excited to interface with everyone. If you're, willing to interface with me, I'll definitely try to respond to most, if not all, comments on YouTube. I'll be posting this in the Purple Discord. If you're newer to Flesh and Blood, you can probably go to your local armory and get the link from one of the players to that Discord. But the Hala Discord is pretty active. I think that, especially since it's a new character, a lot of people have strong opinions. And so if you're wanting to go in and kind of, maybe say like, again, going back to a previous example, like what if we put in rowdy locals? That my hope is that I can be the space that we can try interesting and fun things as opposed to what other people have already had success with. I still want to go off of what people have had success with. There are two kind of prominent deck lists right now kind of floating around that you could find in the Purple Discord. One by a person named Azoni, I think is their name, or how you would say their name, and then another person that goes by the name of Bagel. And one is Fatigue, Bagel's is more Fatigue, and Azoni's is more on the attack. pressing advantages and stuff like that. So I want to say that like I'll be basing a lot of my stuff off of both of these lists and kind of my own preferences, but I'm also willing to kind of listen to what everyone has to say, and I'm really excited. And I'm excited to be making videos. I'm excited to play this character. I love this character. And my last thing I'd like to say is, if LSS gets any wind of this video, please put Edict of Steel full art in the tournament packs so I can get that at Kansas City. Thank you so much. All right, goodbye.